Is Monday. How is everybody today? Drop it in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Um, I it was kind of overcast here, but we went down to the Eastern Market. Ah, there's Kayla. Here we
Good
go.
morning.
Good morning. How are you? Did you have a good weekend?
I did. My mom came to visit, so that was nice.
Oh, that's wonderful. Did you get to enjoy
Yeah.
your mom and spend some good quality time?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, it was good.
good. I love it. I love it. Well, welcome everybody. It is Monday, Mindset Monday. Welcome to Mindset Monday, where independent patient advocates like us come together to start the week with positivity and inspiration. My name is Nicole Broadhurst, and I'm here with my co-host Kayla Thompson-Riviere. And today we're focusing on self-care and boundaries. What is that? What is that quote for us today? Can you read it?
Yes. So today's quote comes to us from Ralph Marston, which, as usual, I don't know who that is.
The daily motivator.
Okay. I always
He's
see,
known as
here's
the
my
daily
problem. I
motivator.
think about it when we get on here and I read the quote. I'm like, oh, I need to see who these people are beforehand, but I never remember until the moment. So, Ralph Marston, the Daily Motivator, thank you, Nicole, says, rest when you're weary, refresh and renew yourself, your body and your mind, your spirit, then get back to work. I do. Nicole, yeah, you're muted, but I'll say it for you. She said, I love this, and so do I, because this ties really closely with your intuitive self and being in touch with this. And we've kind of talked on this topic before, where I know I've shared that like scheduling rest doesn't really work for me because I don't know about you guys, but I assume you're somewhat similar in that I came to this work not because I was looking for a job, but because I am incredibly motivated by this really what I believe is just deeply powerful, impactful, and important work. This is the stuff that lights me up. All that to say that not that it's not work, I work really hard, but at the same time, it helps to refuel me. So just saying, oh, it's 12 o'clock and I need to take a lunch break doesn't work for me because even if I force myself to take predetermined breaks, well, I can step away from the computer, but I can't step away from my brain. And
Story.
feeling if I'm not feeling that internal desire and need for rest and I'm just put like kind of forcing it on myself because it's not a calendar slot, I'm not actually gonna get the recharge from it because my brain is still wanting to go. And so tying into your intuition and being able to recognize when to push down the gas pedal, when to pump the brakes, and balance that for yourself is to me the core takeaway of this quote. And it's just been so powerfully true in my work. But I hope they stop cutting the grass outside Nicole's apartment soon because I am so suspicious she's got a little of a different perspective to add here.
Yeah, so I love this. And I'm gonna talk just as long as the lawnmower is on that side, on the opposite side. So anyway, um, I don't know. Last summer they did this on Thursdays, so it was not a problem. And this year, obviously, it's 8 o'clock on Mondays, 9 o'clock Eastern. So anyway, I digress. Let me hurry up here. Rest when you're weary, refresh and renew yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, and then get back to work. I love this because it is a reminder for me personally to remember that rest is not a weakness, it's a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so important. I feel like for the majority of my life, I felt like, oh, taking these breaks and, you know, um, taking a nap and all of the things. And oh gosh, here it comes. Let me know. Yeah. So I thought that that meant that, that I was weak and I wasn't hustling enough and I wasn't working hard enough and I wasn't doing all of the things. When in reality, taking those breaks is what allows me to be more productive.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot tell you, I had not taken a week off for a very long time. In April, I went away. I disconnected. I was on vacation for a full week. And that Monday that I came back was probably the most productive day I had had in probably 6 months. And I know that it was because my mind, my body, my soul, everything about me was recharged,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to be so much more productive than I had been previously. So again, and these breaks and these rest. Again, let's talk, Kayla, about how customized and personalized it really is. Because a lot of times when we hear, oh, vacation and all the things, we think, some big dollar, high ticket dollar vacation to the Caribbean or a spa treatment or all of these things, when in reality, self care and these rest and these breaks can be what you need, not what
Mm-hmm.
I need. Like, right? Those are going to be look different. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that because I think it's really important because it doesn't look the same for all of us, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm, so
Yeah, and it's you brought up so many good points. See, this is why we have this conversation, and it's not just like, oh, Kayla talking at the wall. But so yeah, I'll start with you said it doesn't have to be some high dollar vacation at a resort somewhere, and if that is something that works for you and fills your cup and is in your budget and for both finances and time constraints, like, congratulations, I'm happy for you. And at the same time, even if that is accessible to you, I think that you're still selling yourself short if you believe that that's what's required to rest and
right,
recharge. Because even if you can take that vacation every quarter, are you only letting yourself rest every quarter?
right, right. What's it look like between? Yeah,
Right. In order to really be able to function at our optimal levels, we need to be able to have a toolbox that we can open whenever and wherever we are when we are feeling that intuitive desire to slow down and recharge. And if we have that tied specifically to a place and a situation that is not readily accessible at any time of the day, then we're setting ourselves up not for failure. That's dramatic, but
mm,
certainly not in as good of a position as we could be.
mm, right. I love this. Um, the other thing that in regards to that is, it's so funny. My husband and I have a very different look. We're two sides of the same coin, so to speak. Um, I look at this rest, this self care, these things that I do to take care of myself as a requirement in order to show up at my best. My husband tends to look at these things a little bit more like, okay, I'm going to work really hard and earn a
Mm,
reward as a rest and relaxation. And I don't know. I don't know that there's a right or a wrong way. I just know for me, if I look at it as a reward, then I tend to get into this place where I feel like the hard work before the rest becomes punishment. And
mhm,
again, this is all in my head, right? So it's important for me to remember that it's not a reward, it's a requirement for me
mhm,
to show up at my best. And I found that that works really well for me. So there's that. And then I also made a note here because we can't really talk about self care without talking about boundaries, right? And where do we place these boundaries in order to protect our time and our energy and our rest and our relaxation in our mind? And and what does that look like? Because really, I feel like protecting my energy is probably one of the most important things that I can do for myself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all I've got.
Mm-hmm.
Time, energy, those are definitely finite resources,
Right.
and nobody else protects them. Like if I don't do it, nobody, you know, people don't come around and go, "Hey, are you taking care of yourself?" But like, I don't know. I mean, I have some close friends that would ask me that, but I don't, but it's not a
But
general.
even if they're checking in and the answer is no, there's still nothing like, I mean, pat on the back, but still, they can't do that for you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I think, one of the ways that I do this is, and I know this doesn't work for Kayla, so this is one of the reasons that I love talking about this stuff is because it's so different. One of the things that works really well for me is my calendar. And it is blocking those periods of time. Now I can move those around and they don't always happen necessarily at the same time every day. However, they're there so that when I pull up my calendar for today, I can see the hour that I'm supposed to walk or exercise, or I can see the 30 minutes that I'm supposed to plan my day, or, whatever those things are. And again, it's different for everyone. I don't want to make it sound like this is the way. There are lots of ways. My husband sets a timer on his watch, right? So that once every hour it just dings to remind him to take a deep breath, to do whatever. So there's lots of ways to do this. And I would love to hear other people's ways of reminding yourself to take care of yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
And I think
drop in
it
the chat what you
exists,
do.
like, it depends too. Like, it starts with most things with self assessment. Like,
Mm,
where are you on that spectrum of doing versus resting? Some people
yes.
lean more towards the resting, and so they need more reminders to make sure that they're hitting their productivity goals. Some people lean more towards the doing and need the built in reminders to stop and pause. Um, couple of concerns about the way you described your husband's approach, because it's interesting the way you said that, when he looks at rest as a reward, then it almost feels like the work is punishment, like it, because
I
that's the opposite of reward, as opposed to every organism with a higher developed brain requires rest, and we don't even know entirely
Right.
why, but we know you can't just be on 24/7. Like, rest required. We have to charge our phone, we got to change the batteries on things. Like, why would we have any expectation that that would be any different for ourselves? And I know that I've said it so many times before, but it bears repeating, that I found for me in my life, when I'm feeling like my output is not quite matching my input, and I'm working really hard, it feels hard to do the things I'm trying to get done. Those are red flags to me to say, you know what? I think my
Yeah.
time would be better spent taking even 15 minutes just to go walk around
Mhm.
outside, move my body, and get some fresh air, and then come back with all the brain juices flowing. I'll
Right?
be able to get more
Yes.
done than just sitting here trying to power through.
Right. And it's true, right? Because, especially life in general, but I want to talk just a minute about, the work we do as professional advocates for patients. Um, this is really intense and emotional work,
Mhm.
right? And burnout doesn't just take you out of the game, it really silences your voice, not just for you, but for everyone you serve, all of your patients, all of your clients, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I got into this work to make a difference. And so if I run ramshod over myself and I don't take care of myself and I'm not showing up at my best and I'm depleting all of my energy, it isn't just affecting me. It's
Mm-hmm.
affecting everyone in my life and including the most important people that I'm really trying to serve, my clients.
And I'm
So,
going to take that one step further. Everything that you described just now about burnout, um, that's what your client, these clients that we're talking about serving, that's the kind of interaction they're getting from their healthcare workers. So if you, if we're showing up saying, pay me so we can have a better healthcare experience, you owe it to them to be able to show up in a better way than all of their clinicians can. And also,
perfect.
I'd say probably half of us came from a clinical background. Man, if
Mhm.
you're going to be working in that burnt out place, you serve yourself a lot better by just staying at your job.
Right?
And I
Yes.
know that's not what
Right.
any of us want. So there's the
No.
reality check for the day.
Right, exactly. This stuff is important. This stuff we talk about on Monday, here in this conversation, is really the foundation of being able to show up and do all of the other things.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we get our strength and our exercise in resilience and taking care of ourselves so that we can do the job and show up the way that we had intended to show up when we took this job, to take this on. So, when we take the time to really refresh mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, it makes sure that we come back to our tasks with clarity and strength and purpose. We're not just working for change, we're living examples of sustainable, purpose driven leadership for everybody in our lives. And I think that that's really, really important. Um, when we focus on the greater good of what we're doing, it makes it easier to show up in the day to day stuff. So, like I said, super important conversations that we're having around this stuff. Now get back to work. No, I'm kidding. Just I was just thinking about, we're coming to the end, like we're getting close to the end, and I was just thinking, now, okay, we've done all this great stuff. Now get back to work. This was our, refresher. Anyway, joke. Anyway, so what are your
Actually, when
lasting
we
thoughts?
do get off of here, before you jump back into your work, I challenge you to sit with yourself in quiet for 5 minutes and just
Mm,
think about the things that you need this week to make sure that you're recharging. Where has your struggle been refreshing yourself physically, spiritually, mentally? Where's that challenge that you've been? Just sit and think about what comes up for you. Is it physically resting? Have you been shorting yourself hours of sleep at night? Okay, figure out what we're going to do about that. Set an alarm and a commitment to getting to better. That's a whole, that could be a
whole
whole nother
thing.
episode on itself. Are you feeling a lack of physical mobility? All right, start developing a plan about that. Maybe it's what you're feeding yourself, and that can be physically feeding yourself, digitally feeding yourself, like the things that you're
Nice.
consuming with your energy and physically putting into your body food wise. Those are two of the biggest drains on people that I notice, like as I sit and observe modern day America.
Right?
We
So true,
really
too.
underestimate the impact of, especially like on social media, like the people that you're following, the things that are popping up on your news feed or the groups that you're in, the
Oh my
chatter,
gosh. Sing it. Yes.
how are these things making you
Yes.
feel? Are they making you anxious, or are they contributing to your personal and professional development? Are you just scrolling, and if you stop for a second, you don't even know what you've been looking at or why? Is it with intention or without? These are just, again, we could probably spend 30 minutes talking about all that
Oh
stuff.
gosh.
But these are some
Absolutely.
ideas of where have you been lacking on your recharge that you can start to tweak this week. Just a little bit, a tweak. We're not a full-on overhaul. It's not sustainable. Little tweaks at a time.
Yes. Yes. I love this. I love this because one of the questions that I had in my challenge, in my notes was, what's one boundary you'll reinforce or one moment of stillness that you'll reclaim this week? Specifically, I will tell you, I love that you mentioned social media, Kayla, because this is a rabbit hole for me. And I cannot tell you how many times I get on social media and all of a sudden I'm like, boundary, get the heck off of here. What are you doing? Mainly because it's just it's I think anyway, I don't want to get into all of that. But what is one thing, right? Like one thing that you can put some boundaries on. When I started really tracking my sleep, I love that you mentioned that too. When I first started tracking my sleep, I my goal is to be asleep by 10 p.m. And in order to do that, that means that at 9 p.m. I have to shut everything off and it has to get dark so that I have an hour of just quiet time. I'm just, anyway, these are things, again, these are all very personal things. These are not things that are just going to be a blanket work for everyone. And I love that you mentioned self-awareness. Get aware. Like, what do you need in order to fall asleep when you want to fall asleep? What do you need in order to show up as your best authentic self every day? What I need is different from what Kayla needs or what you need. But trying different things will help you find the thing that you need. So what's the area? I love Kayla's challenge. What is that area that you're just going to be more self-aware so that you can start to put better practices around that? I love that.
And once you identify that need, I want you to figure out how you can address it right where you are. Going back to the concept of not tying it to a vacation. Like
Yes.
when I get done with the call here, I'm probably going to take 15 minutes and go walk around the block in the sunshine, probably with headphones in, listening to nothing, but just gathering my thoughts just because of where I am and the cycle of things with my business. I'm feeling a need for a little bit more clarity before I just sort of jump into stuff because, oh, it's Monday and this is what I normally do on Monday at 10 a.m. I'm feeling that I could, but I think I would be better served to move my body and let what comes to my mind come to mind. And I'm going to lean into that because it doesn't need that rest and that recharge that my mental space is looking for. It doesn't need to be in Jamaica 3 months from now. I've found that the way you can, or when you can, nature for me connects me and recharges me better than a spa day, I think, could ever. Like, and it's interesting. There's actually science around, like, take off your socks and shoes and put your feet in dirt.
Yes.
And there's science around like what that does for the neurochemicals in your
Yeah.
brain. The sound of running water at like a creek or the ocean actually really helps to regulate our nervous system, something that we
Or
don't
a
talk about enough in
tabletop
our
water
culture.
fountain.
There you
Like
go.
seriously, super simple ways you can do this. I actually in the RV, I don't know, you can see it at the top of
Mm-hmm.
that shelf right there. That is a battery operated water fountain that I use for that very purpose because I too like nature, grounding. I love to hear water in the background. So there's easy ways you can do this. It doesn't have to be crazy, trips to the ocean or anything like that. It can be really easy, simple stuff. Take your shoes off, go barefoot in the grass. Like literally, it's great. And I think, Kayla, correct me if I'm wrong, but if people wanted more information about that, they call that grounding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's
Mm-hmm.
scientific stuff around grounding and what it does for us as human beings. So if you're interested in that and you want to learn more about the simplicity and what you can do, that's where you could find that in some grounding stuff. Oh my gosh, this has been great. Ooh, noise over there. I love
I
it. Thank
know.
you.
They're doing like some kind of construction over there. We're a mess, Nicole.
I love it. It
Nobody
makes me feel
asked
better.
us.
I know, right? Like, do you have anything going on? Is it going to bother you if we do this? I love this. Terry says she's going to be in Ocean City, Maryland. Yeah, I know, Kayla. Y'all need to get together. Do you leave
Yes.
in the morning, Terry? I think it says leave in the morning, getting some beach time myself, putting feet in the dirt. Yes, it's called grounding. That's correct. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. There it
Terry,
is.
I don't know if you
Terry.
know, but that's where I am.
Right. Y'all got to get coffee while you're out there.
Yeah.
Get connected with Kayla, get coffee, hang out for a little bit. That would be great. I love it. All right.
Heardforlife.com/connect.
Mm, there you go. Perfect. Heardforlife.com/connect. That'll get you connected with Kayla.
Also,
Love
that
it.
takes you to a Zoom link if there's anybody else who's been like, oh, I've been dying to connect with Kayla and don't know how. Open
Right.
invitation.
Perfect. I love it. That's great. Awesome. All right, guys. Anything else? I'm trying to look here. I can't think of anything. We went through everything on my notes. I love it. If that's it, we're going to give you about 4 minutes back in your morning. How wonderful is
Yes, go
that?
start on that white space I described.
Yes. All right. That's a wrap for today's Mindset Monday. We are so grateful for you and being a part of our community of independent patient advocates. We hope today's quote on boundaries and self-care and recharging and resetting empowers you in your work and your personal life this week. Be sure to share how you're applying it. What did you get? What's that one thing? And then we'll see you right back here next Monday to talk about authenticity and well-being. Everybody have a fantastic week. See you on Wednesday. Bye.